you said, and I quote, "Online dating provided me the perfect space to present myself without the instantaneous, socially constructed assumption of who a visible disabled person is." Can you elaborate more on how online dating helped you with that?
So for me, online dating, was a space where I could kind of present myself without like that first initial like in-person meeting, because sometimes like the in-person meeting can force me to kind of disclose right. And so I liked having that platform where I could, especially the platform I used was OkCupid, so you could answer a bunch of questions that really, got into more of your personal beliefs, personality. So then you could be like this person before you were this person with a disability.
Right. Okay, so it gave you time to share who you are before being possibly judged.
Right.
Would you say?
Yeah, that would, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And also, I think it helped because then this person we could get a little more comfortable before I, disclosed, though in my profile, I didn't like hide the fact that I had a disability,
Right.
so that I knew whoever, commented or, we went to more of like a chatting phase, then they already had kind of an idea that I was much into disability related advocacy and everything. And I thought if they're going to be okay with that, then they should be okay with me that I also have a disability.
Okay. And again, another general question as someone who is older and was single pre-smartphone days, can you comment on if dating apps are any easier than dating sites to use, especially for people with disabilities?
So clarification, do you want why online dating is better?
Not apps. Using an app versus going through the website. Is there any advantage?
I mean, they're pretty similar. Usually because like the dating website sometimes has also the dating app with it, but I liked having the app because I don't know, it was a little more convenient for me. So it wasn't necessarily like this big chore that I had to go actually on the website. Like it was with me. It made it more accessible, I believe, for me. And then it was really more of like this, once I, started talking to someone, it was more of like a, I think more of like a connection, because I felt like it was on my phone and not like on some computer.
I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
And did you say you were on OkCupid?
Yes.
Okay, and would you recommend them or any other?
I would, because you can do it with, you can do a free version of it, which is nice. And then it's also very, I think, comprehensive because they have a lot of questions. It's mostly based on answering questions, which really helps. And then based on your answers, it shows how compatible you are with someone, which I really liked, because then it talks about, like religion and like family values and political values, things that could become issues later on in relationships.
Right.
I liked that you could kind of see if you would be compatible with someone before you really invested.
Okay. So it provided a good filter.
Yes.
Would you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it over there. Going,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So many people with disabilities struggle with the whole disclosure, especially on their dating profile. And when in the relationship, should they disclose,
Yeah.
then they don't do that right away. And sometimes I have seen people disclose on their profile, but not in a very empowering way.
Okay.
You know, they don't. They just say it matter of factly, but not. It doesn't really feel very empowering. Like, for example, they say, I don't drive.
Right.
I have blah blah and I don't drive. You explain how you work through the process of finding a comfort level with how you talked about your disability on your profile.
So in my profile, I actually, I just happen to be really involved with a lot of like advocacy and other things surrounding kind of disability. So like on my dating profile at the time, I was like, I'm getting my graduate degree in disability studies. I do a lot of advocacy work with people with disabilities. And so I kind of just talked about how passionate I was about advocating for people with disabilities. And then, there was a question that was like, what is your, like the most, like the thing you would most likely, I would try to think how they phrased it. Was it?
Oh, we haven't No, my cat appears in videos also, so.
Yeah, so there was this question that asked like, what was the most, like thing you're willing to admit about yourself? What was it like the most?
Something that you feel, I'm trying to think of the word for it, like uncomfortable about, or something you're scared to share with somebody.
Okay.
Worry about other people knowing.
Yeah. So in that, I was like, I'm unable to drive, is what I said.
Okay.
Because it didn't necessarily come out and say I have a disability, but then I'm like, oh, I kind of hinted at it a lot.
Right.
In ways where I'm like, oh, I was very much like, this is cool, a disability thing, and this is a cool disability thing, and then maybe a little more personal within the questions.
Okay.
If someone were to ask, oh, why can't you drive? Then I'm like, then potentially that could be an opening to disclose.
Okay.
And then I found that couldn't really like plan it, really, disclosing to your partner. You kind of very organically, I think, in whenever you feel like it's right. You can't really force it.
Okay.
But what I found hilarious, which I mentioned in my blog post later on, that sometimes your partner will Google you beforehand, and when Seth Googled me, most of the articles about me were like, Jessica who has CP, blah, 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 blah. So he already knew.
Okay, so let's talk about it, Seth. I'm curious, did you Google all your potential dates?
No, just the ones I was more serious about. So through that website, there was a big overlap in what we had shared values over. So I knew I was interested in her, and we had already started talking before I started checking in. That was at the point where I was like, oh, we might actually meet. And
okay.
Person maybe want to just check a couple things.
Yeah.
So then that was probably when I started searching, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's why she doesn't drive. Okay. So it just clarified it for me. But yeah, that's usually when it happens, when people are starting to become aware that, oh, we're going to meet in person. Yeah. And I know this person really, so I'm going to double check.
Yeah. I also Googled him when I realized we were going to meet.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Definitely should do that before you meet someone.
I'm very good about to do. Google your date before you meet them.
Yeah. Make sure you see a picture that matches the name of the person and like file, you know? Because
make sure the picture matches.
yeah.
To set them, it seems like when you learn that Jessica had TB through Googling her, it sounds how you talk about it that it wasn't really a big deal.
Not really. It wasn't too much of a big deal for me, but I think that's just a personal thing for me that I didn't find it to be much of an issue really at all. And I thought it just made things make more sense, honestly, because I was like, she didn't explain, I didn't ask her, because I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable in those initial stages of talking, like, why don't you drive? Because, you know, from either side of the conversation, you know, if you know somebody's sensitive about something, you probably shouldn't dig into those questions first. So it kind of made just things make a little bit more sense. And it was very obvious to see, oh, this is why especially she loves disability advocacy, because it's the community she's a part of. So it kind of just clarified things for me. But yeah, for me, it wasn't too much of an issue, really.
Okay, great. Let's see. So, Jessica, you said that you knew early on that Seth was a great guy. How could you tell?
Like in the conversations, you know, I could, well, even on his profile and everything, I could tell that we had similar views on like similar values and everything. And he seemed to be also very much into like kind of like civil right, human right kind of sphere, which was a very much needed for my partner. Just through talking and everything, he made me laugh a lot, and it was just easy. So I'm like, this is going to be good because we, you know, he's saying things that I also have similar views on, and he's funny, and so I just felt good. It was easy to talk with him on the website, and then once we met in person as well.
Yeah. I think those are very important factors that you just said. One, it felt easy, and two, it felt good. You were checking in with yourself about how you felt.
Yeah.
With communicating and getting to know him.
Yeah.
Seth, in your part of the blog, you mentioned Jessica as being beautiful and bubbly, which I love that you wrote that. What about her communications or interactions brought this about for you?
Well, it was very lighthearted, I guess, in terms of topics. I think some people in those first steps of the chatting can get into some serious topics pretty fast, which I think was a good thing in terms of the strategy of it. Things to think about is that we kept it pretty surface level at first, you know. She saw that I was very interested in music, so that's what she decided to talk about first. Like, these are the musical groups I like. Say, oh, I like these ones. And then kind of organically go through lighter topics like hobbies. And that's a great way to also show off your humor. Because if you get into those serious subjects really quickly, sometimes you can't express all the like bubbly, nice things about your personality because you get so involved in the content of what you're saying. So I thought the way that we chose to go through topics like from here to here to here, I thought that helped express our personalities.
It seemed like it really allowed you to get to know the person.
Yes.
Whoever you are. Great. So, Seth, we talked about this a few minutes ago about your thoughts and feelings when you learned that Jessica had suicidal palsy.
Mhm.
How has any of that changed as your relationship has progressed?
Well, just a more awareness of what CP is, because I didn't know many people before, Jess, in my regular circle of people who had CP. So it was just learning more about what the experience of having it is. But I don't think it even changed too much in terms of knowing her, because she's still the same person that I was talking to. So it just became more obvious of, oh, this is what CP is, and this is what the CP community is generally like. But other than that, it still felt very similar in terms of, we had an interesting conversation before, and we still have interesting conversations now. So in a way, it slightly changed, and in a way, not so much.